Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Day number 247 in this war in Ukraine with the terrorist nation Russia nonstop. Tonight's going to be a full night. Got a great update. We're really got some interesting things we're going to share on all spheres, whether it's war fronts, economics, terrorism, energy sectors, all of it. Putin, Medvedev, Zelensky, even a video from Bakhmut and Khmelnytsky. You're going to really enjoy tonight's update. So thank you for being here. 9:01 p.m., almost 9:02 Eastern Standard Time, 6:01-ish, 2. California, we're right on that number. I don't know what clock you run, but that's what I watch. And 4:01 out in Ukraine. So thank you for everyone. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. And special thanks to our moderators. You guys do a great job as always. Let's roll the man in here and say good morning to him. Good morning. Oh, let me try that again. I have too many buttons. Let's try that again. Not that one. That one. Good morning.
Good evening.
There we go. Well, you live. You have so many buttons to hit, but we're getting them hit. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
And have had a good day.
Yeah.
Good.
Fruitful. Thank you.
Fruitful. Lots of things have happened today. And we're going to give everybody a good update on this Friday night and Saturday morning there in Ukraine. So let's get started. We're going to start here with a little bit of economics tonight, Jacob. And let's talk about the numbers that came out of Kyiv, saying that this year, 2022, we'll see a 26% decline in the salaries for Ukrainians, while in 23% they expect a 4.6% rise, which would still mean by the end of next year, Ukrainian salaries will still be down 20%. And of course, inflation, economics, the world is in a very difficult place financially right now. On top of the war, this is a challenge.
Yeah, I think it's like we were expecting that there will not be, easy time, and so like I think the things what I'm gonna do, the rest people will do. So Monday I need to pay. I want to make sure that every taxes I can pay in time. I mean, right now I will pay, and to support economic. This is my part, small part.
Let me ask you this question. Normal goods that you and people have to live with daily, bread, food, butter, whatever, staples, we would call them in English. How are those prices going up?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I know they are from when I was there, but it's still, the inflation is hitting hard.
Let's say the eggs.
Yeah, eggs. Great example.
It was, let's say, about $1. Now it's about $2, about a little bit more per 10.
$2 for 10 eggs.
Yes.
In Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
With Ukrainian salaries.
And even more. Yes.
Holy moly. Well, there you have it, folks. If you were shopping last few days and you were at the grocery store, whether U.S. or another country, what did you pay for a dozen eggs? In Ukraine, they're paying about $2 for 10. So it's going to be challenging, and that's why we have to stand strong and support the plan, because this is not getting any easier. Information came out today on Belarus. You and I have been continually reminding the community here in the world that Belarus is a serious player in this war. And we had information come out today, 7 months, Lukashenko's regime transferred 65,000 tons, which equals 1,940 train wagons of ammunition to the Russian Federation. In addition to ammunition, Russian Federation also received tanks, other equipment. In just the past few weeks, at least 94 T-72 tanks and 36 to 44 Urals, which are like big trucks with 6 wheels to move gear and equipment. Madness.
This is yeah, but this is the numbers which is published, which is you have to understand. Not everything the army does is published. So we just may imagine what is real, what is in reality, what is like hidden, what was covered, and so on.
You and I were out in the East, and we had to stop only for one train because lots of trains aren't running, but we had to stop for one train. It might have been near Dnipro, I think. We were coming back from the East, and we had to stop. And this long train went, and we sat, and I think I jumped out and walked around a little bit. It was a long train, probably 100 cars or so. But could you imagine a train with 1,940 cars? That's a lot of stuff, bud. A lot. So the Soviet Union used the nation of Belarus to store munitions. That's what everybody's saying. Belarus was a region where munitions were stored because it was closer to Europe. And evidently that's the truth. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, but I think much more were in Russia. I mean, and I think the Russia were preparing this war years before. So we didn't track all the things years before the way we do now.
So forget the missiles, okay? The hypersonics, the Iskanders, forget all of that. Shells and munition. They've got plenty.
A lot.
Okay.
Like S-300, a lot.
Okay. And S-300 has done as much damage in this war as any other munition.
I mean, we coming to the missile, it's S-300. We don't imagine how much they have. I will not start to talk about the shells and munition. It's a lot of, much more.
There you have it, folks. And I know people say, well, they're going to run out of missiles. And I keep saying, okay, well, they'll get more from Iran. They're building more. Putin actually came out yesterday and said, we're not even talking about it. He's putting the factories that produce munitions, they're working 24/7. They're increasing capacity. You know, they're not going to run out, folks. Period. They're not going to run out.
Yeah. It's like one thing. If, as you know, they already made this law and this situation in the country that the country and even local districts can regulate and make some private companies and people working for supporting army with no discussion. It means they doing everything for their economic and industrial to work for war.
Correct.
Because for them, they understand. So we need to understand. If we will not have more information, just knowing that facts, it means they're not playing, they're producing tanks. I think there's some places, factories for producing the munition and tanks, all about the supply, the army, working 24/7.
Well, a big difference, and we're going to look at a headline here from the history in just a few minutes, but during World War II, Germany's their entire economy turned into a war machine. That's how they rebuilt the economy. But, you know, when the Allies started fighting against Germany, they would actually go on to German territory, of course, and bomb their factories where they were making the munitions. Now, Ukraine were doing a good job striking supplies that are in Ukraine. But we are not destroying the factories that are in Russia. That's a major difference. They just keep making. Their important avenue is to keep the supply line open. The supplies, they can keep them coming. So that's a little difference. Take a look over in the east, Zhenya. We know bottom blue era, Bakhmut, still probably one of the biggest battles right now for the city of Bakhmut. Urban warfare, the red line cutting through the map, M3 highway. Everybody knows it now. But we are getting some reports that Krymna, the city in the black circle on the top, which is occupied, Ukraine has moved in up north of that a little bit, and it is looking like we may be getting an assault on Krymna. So this is all preliminary information, but it looks like it's being confirmed. Ukraine's making a good push once again up in the north.
Need official confirmation, but from the news we have, looks like they already control this line.
Yes, we shall see, and we'll keep our eyes on it. Looking at the map overall, we're going to zoom in here in a second to Kherson, but in the right, you see the line, the front line there. Ukraine, of course, the blue arrows, Russia's the black arrows. This is where they're fighting and pushing in the east. If you look at the 3 explosions, this is over the past 24 hours. Mykolaiv has been hit hard, and we're talking civilian. Russia is still hitting electrical places, substations, wherever they can, but these 3 places over the last 24 hours, we've got civilian residents, buildings, Mykolaiv, Nikopol, and Zaporozhye. You see the blue flames. This is what I'm talking about. Ukraine is hitting very hard. Supply houses, storages there behind the occupied lines. But as we just mentioned a minute ago, they're not destroying factories. They're destroying warehouses. And then, of course, the main focus is Kherson. We're zoomed in here, and this is where the battle's going to be coming soon. Russia's pushing in. No matter what you hear, folks, Russia's pushing in. And, of course, Ukraine is pushing in. Everything's slowing down. The weather's colder, wetter. It's more difficult to travel. This is going to be a battle, period.
Yeah, I think we need the reality. We need to understand and not to be naive that Russia they got some success in reinforcement. There are groups, the army groups on the right bank of the Dnieper River, and in Kherson. So with all of we're trying to find surely the positive news, but the reality is, it is reality. The Russia has some success at least in reinforcement, not for taking a lot of Ukrainian territory and pushing Ukrainians back, but non-stop there is a real hard fights going on there, and Russia has some success in transporting their forces, even through the bridges. Not the bridges, but they're building the bridges, like the military, let's say, tracks to transport the technique and the troops to the needed banks of the river.
And what Zhenya is talking about there would be the left red arrow. Russia is reinforcing that bank very intently. They are having success in that. And this battle right now, the line there with the red and the blue is pretty accurate. When I made that graphic today, we'll see. We can't, but I can show you this, Zhenya. The Russian media in Kherson is preparing the people of Russia and the people that are flooded with this type of news, trying to show how Russia is saving the monuments and saving the good things and saving the treasures. I found this very interesting. This is from kp.ru news out of Russia, but a guy reporting from Kherson. Check this one out.
Мне кажется, что местные власти приняли абсолютно правильное решение вывести из Херсона памятники Ушакову, Суворову и князю Потемкину, который, собственно, основал Херсон. Вот он стоял на этом месте. И не только Херсон, он присоединил Крым к России, он присоединил огромные территории, которые были названы Новороссией, и пользовался заслуженным уважением у императрицы Екатерины. После того, как риск разрушений в результате артиллерийского огня будет минимизирован, памятники вернутся на свое место. Ну вот усыпальница князя Потемкина. Сейчас она пуста, гроб с прахом великого русского фельдмаршала вывезен на левый берег в целях безопасности и сохранности. Ну и вот еще один памятник адмиралу Ушакову, который был вывезен отсюда на левый берег в целях сохранения в случае городских боев, которые могут развернуться здесь совсем скоро.
We've done such a great job saving the monuments, taking the princes, the holy guys, the field marshals, move them to the left bank because a battle's coming here. But we're doing our best to save everything. This is what Russia's being fed.
Barbarians.
Do what?
Yeah, barbarians.
Barbarians, exactly.
Barbarians.
Yeah, it's, and just,
I mean,
we're doing everything right.
Okay, they got to Kherson not because of the strong army, but because of the corruption in Ukraine. They found pro-Russian. There were some pro-Russian people that said, but this is reality. Even in army, this is how they got to Kherson. No, nothing to be proud of as an army. So, and now they're robbing, stealing, moving monuments, being okay with, with deliverers who are there. They bribed, let's say, got there by, because of the corruption, and now they're like, okay, we are army. Why? They didn't fight for Kherson. And
we'll leave it there. This is the media that is stuffed down everybody's throat how great we are. But folks, there's the translation. You're seeing the truth of what really happens. They're robbing that place blind and expecting it to be destroyed, and they're going to do their best to turn it on Ukraine. That's it. That's what's happening. Yesterday, you and I spent a lot of time talking about Vladimir Putin and the speech. We looked at 7 or 8 examples, gave some commentary. It was a really good episode and program. Today, this group, and I respect them, Institute for the Study of War, we followed them since day one almost of this war, stated after analyzing the 3.5 hours, this is what they did. They analyzed it, evaluated it, and they came up with some talking points of what they believe is the interpretation of Putin's madness yesterday. They said his goal is to destroy the Ukrainian state, period. Putin openly declared that the only real guarantee of Ukrainian sovereignty can only be Russia, which created Ukraine. And finally, they said this statement denies Russia's legal recognition of Ukraine's sovereignty and right to exist independently of Russia. I think that's the perfect summary from what he said yesterday.
Yeah, let's say it's more than the great. And I would say the attempt of Russia to wipe out Ukraine as a historical nation and a historical land and the country will take them to the place and they basically already there on that way, that they will prove that the Russia is not real. They have stolen the history. This is what they are doing everywhere. They are rewriting history, twisting the facts, and reality that historical the world. Worldwide people, the pro historicals, they surely know the truth about the date. And so in reality it will bring the Russia that worldwide it will be proved, because they dragging the attention to them. Hey, this is what we see. It will work opposite.
I believe that it brings to light, though, and that's not the purpose. This is not the purpose of our updates each night, but it brings to light the problem with education in the world, rewriting of history, wokeness. Let's change everything. The whole world is different now. This plays right into Putin's hands, though, for what he's doing, because we have generations now that are uneducated. They don't know Germany from Ukraine, from Russia, from Belize. They're clueless. They don't even know how to balance a checkbook. You just pay by sticking your phone up to something. We've lost sense in our world. That's why we're seeing a lot of this unfold, because people do not know the truth and they believe whatever they hear.
And what they are doing, the new generation and the modern generation of scientists and the students, what they're checking the facts, what Russia is doing now, what they're trying to prove with Ukraine to the world, their ideas, their attempts, they will wipe out their history and even achievements they had in the past from the Russian really good scientists. They will wipe it out. Why? Because people, the worldwide society, I believe the science, people, it will work like this. Okay, if it's Russia, I really doubt it's real.
Correct. You ready for this? They're going to take away their credibility when they really do have the ability to do some great things. Because you know as well as I know, through history, there have been brilliant Russian scientists. It's a fact. It's a fact.
But
now, you can't believe anything.
It's a war on Donbass, but it's a war on a historical dates and facts field. And now much more people are digging what is the facts, what was the real achievements. And I think the reality, the nature of Russia, what we have, what do we see now, it was the same years before. And I think a lot of achievements will be doubting even there by facts.
Yes.
Because it will be proved it was stolen, it was copied, etc., etc.
So basically what you're saying is, if Russia continues to do what they're doing, they're going to delegitimize their entire nation.
Yeah, they will bury it.
Okay.
Bury it.
Well, let's take a history lesson. Yesterday, Putin was saying, hey, we can have the peace, but it's going to be our way. Let's just be friends. We can get along. We've never said anything bad about the West. We've never been enemies with the West. It reminds us of this. Before World War II began, Daily Mirror, and this is the headline, Hitler was interviewed and he said, let's just be friends, his plea to the world. And then the phrase he used in that interview was, I appeal to reason. I don't know about you, bud, but that sounds exactly like Putin does today. Exactly.
Yeah, yes, that I appeal and I believe in the sound mind reason in everything, in relationship. And now
Correct.
let's be friends.
Let's be friends. Let's go to confirmation today. I'll start with this. Let me show Shoigu here so everybody can be entertained. This is how he reports to Putin.
Участвует в боевых действиях, получит статус ветерана боевых действий и соответствующий пакет социальных льгот. Отправку граждан, призванных по мобилизации, завершили сегодня. Оповещение граждан прекращено. Установленное вами задание 300 тысяч человек выполнено. Никаких дополнительных заданий не планируется.
So we've reached our 300,000. I will tell you this. Let me make two and then you reply. Jens Stoltenberg and NATO came out today and says, okay, we do see where it appears 82,000 recruits have arrived in Ukrainian soil, and we do see another 218,000 in training. That's NATO. That's Jens Stoltenberg. So Shoigu says it, but second thing I was going to say is when I'm back over there in a few weeks, maybe we can get a table like that. You sit at one end and I'll sit at the other, and we can do our nightly updates with a table like that.
I may try to find.
No, because you will the Putin table. But the bottom line, it goes kind of back to the Kherson news from earlier, a few minutes ago. Ukraine is doing good on the ground. Russia is attacking the electrical grid. They are terrorists. They want to freeze Ukraine out, but they do send a lot of cannon fodder to the front line. Their troops are not the second army in the world, but they do have troops. They do.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
It's a serious enemy, and we need not to be naive. That.
Well, let's talk about ignorance for a moment. Okay, last couple of things for tonight's update. It's a Friday night. Like to have a few smiles as we can. We're in a war. But did you know that mosquitoes are being used as weapons?
You have to add the USA mosquitoes.
United States mosquitoes.
Tell the full truth.
Now, here's what I'm going to say to this. This is Friday night, so everybody can have a smile here. But in all seriousness, the ambassador to the United Nations from Russia wasted oxygen, light, power, and actually was given time in New York City to say the ignorant things that I'm getting ready to show you. Zhenya, before I show it, do they really believe this? They mean the Russians. Do they really believe this?
The Russians believe it for sure. I mean, maybe the ones with a real education, not having access and attitude to the mass media and internet sources to pick up the right sources and to change it, to measure it. I mean, to check the reality, compare it. I think they are made out, but the Russian, they believe it.
The question, it just blows my mind. We've got a war in Ukraine. We've got world hunger. We have power problems, economy problems. The world's in a tough situation. And the United Nations actually allows this man to talk about this mess.
That man is trying to interrupt.
We may have internet, but we're good. Let me show this. This is what the world is allowing to be spewed in New York City.
В составе полученных нами документов содержится описание проектов UP4, Flyway и EP-781 по изучению возможности распространения опасных инфекций через мигрирующих птиц, в том числе высокопатогенного гриппа и болезни Ньюкасла, и летучих мышей, в том числе способных инфицировать человека возбудителей чумы, лептоспироза, бруцеллеза, а также коронавирусов и филовирусов, которые могут рассматриваться в качестве средств доставки. Пространственный охват обоих проектов фактически включал не только приграничные с Россией и украинские регионы, но и территорию самой России. В соответствии с описанием, такой беспилотник транспортирует в заданный район контейнер с большим количеством комаров, переносчиков инфекции, и высвобождает их. При укусе комары инфицируют атакуемых людей возбудителями особо опасных заболеваний. В пояснении прямо подчеркивается, что зараженный военнослужащий будет не способен выполнять поставленные перед ним задачи, в силу чего, цитирую, заболевание может быть более ценным военным инструментом, чем самые современные вооружения и военная техника.
It's a sad picture of people who continue listening. I don't want to to use any wrong words here. That person.
Genius.
And
That's the
I
United
know
Nations.
I understand. I remember 2014, right before the Maidan, there were a stage and people could come up and make a speech. So there were the reality and atmosphere was like that. Then when somebody with a little bit pro-Russian position were trying, or being corrupted in the past, were trying to speak to people, to the crowd, do you know what was the answer? After 2 words, people were clapping, yelling, shouting. Nobody was listening until that person were leaving the stage. I believe that one day United Nations has to have enough respect to themselves just to stop it.
That right there. And I try to avoid getting into politics. We're trying to focus on the war and do our part to win the war. But that is an insult to the intelligence of humanity to even allow somebody to speak about that. I'll make sure we whisper in the ears. It's regardless. But the world needs to see it. This is what's happening, and that's coming to the United Nations near you. Finally, lots of talk about how Ukraine is going to come and negotiate. Lots of talk. A Chinese ambassador somewhere said, I think Russia and Ukraine can negotiate. There's talk out that Putin says we're open to negotiate. Medvedev talks about, we can negotiate. Baloney. Podolyak come out and said, we do not negotiate with terrorism. We do not negotiate with terrorists. Now, terroristic activity is happening all throughout Ukraine. I want to show a couple of examples, and then we'll get your response to it. The first example is behind the occupied territory. Russian citizenship is being given, just put on the Ukrainian people. This is directly from Ivan Fedorov, the Ukrainian mayor of Melitopol, giving this update. This, my friends, is stealing, thievery in the names of good. It's terrorism. Here's Fedorov.
Черговий терор про те, що з 30.10 всі мешканці, які залишились на тимчасово окупованій території, яку рашисти анексували, вони стають громадянами Росії. Для чого це робиться? Звичайно ж для того, щоб примусово мобілізовувати людей, примусово зчиняти з ними тортури і, звичайно, застосовувати всі ті каральні методи, які рашисти зазвичай застосовують.
I remind you, this is the mayor of Melitopol that was kidnapped for 9 days early in the war. We covered that. We followed that. Now he's declaring this is just another wave of terrorism taking our people this way.
Question. If somebody is using, something to kill people, should all the country stop it? Yes. If the Russian passports are being given out from 2014 to anyone after the fake referendums, they're using these passports as a weapon for fighting, as a tool gives them the legal ways to fight for these people, to fight on that territory. The question, it shows the seriousness of what Russian passport in general means.
Mm-hmm.
The question, if the Russian passport is using as a weapon, why not to eliminate for all the world Russian weapon
Passport
in their countries?
correct.
They prove that their Russian passports is not legal, because for person to get a Russian passport, it just needs to have a reason, maybe to stay with their kidnapped grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how Russian passports, against of their will, is being okay. We will kill you, or I don't know, but you will now you're a Russian citizen. Now
Well,
the
people-
question:
Okay.
have you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Why the society and United Nations and all the world will not recognize the Russian passports and the language is using as a weapon for terrorizing them?
Do you want to know one reason? Because there's no third party watching anything. Nobody is allowed in there. There's no humanitarian organizations. There's no Red Cross. There's no OSCE. There's nothing. And people may ask tonight, okay, well, if they came to my house and said, give me your passport, I'm giving you a Russian one, you know what? I'd throw them out in the street. Would you? Would you? Would you when an AK-47 is staring you in the face? Would you when the threat to your family members? Would you when the threat to no food, no power, no resources? What would you do then? Oh, I would just, would you? That's the question. You say, well, is that really happening there? 100%. They threaten people's lives with basic necessities of life, kidnapping their family members, and terror. That's why Fedorov called it terrorism.
And you have to understand, the people can answer like this. Yes, I would fight. Why? Would fight with what?
Correct.
You never lived in the country which never would give you the license for having any guns.
Oh, you're getting into a big
Years.
topic there. Correct.
And now you having, I mean, the whole arsenal. I mean, like thousands of munition. I mean, the big choice what to fight, and most important, with the country, the legal protection of your own territory, respect to private territory, private rights. Forget about that.
Forget
Read
it.
more. What is USSR? What was
Correct.
USSR? The right of person to fight for what? Forget about election. Forget about free will. Forget about, and remember just one phrase of Putin from yesterday. Why this world is so wrong that doesn't want to accept dictatorship country?
Exactly.
That's enough. I mean, that's enough to discuss. I mean, okay, go to some places. Go to North Korea. Fight for your right there.
Well, not only
I mean-
do you have it in this passport example, what's happening, and we're trying to explain to people what is really happening in those territories. We even have it out of Moscow itself. We know the strategy and the plan is to destroy infrastructure. Check this out.
Вот это вот принуждение, путинская речь, вот эти вот призывы к переговорам, это то, что мы видим, как бы, верхняя часть этого айсберга. Значит, закрытая вся вот эта история, что якобы, значит, мы там всем, кому надо, объясняем, принуждаем, что вот у нас, ребята, остался там месяц до наступления зимы, до холодов. Значит, мы сейчас свою военную операцию ведем вот так, вот так, вот так, в том числе наносим удары по энергетической инфраструктуре. Насколько я понимаю, мы сейчас как раз в сюжете будем начинать с того, что кто-то там на Западе говорит, ах, как правильно русские стали себя вести. Так вот, при этом, значит, опять же, всем вот этим вот нашим, не знаю, там, контрагентам говорить, обратите внимание, На самые важные, на самые критические из критических объектов мы ничего не сбрасываем. Пока. Значит, ребята, вот это действительно наше последнее предупреждение. Давайте мы сядем с вами за стол переговоров. Если вы уж этого не понимаете, то тогда вот с окончанием осени и наступлением зимы, тогда действительно Украина перейдет на темную сторону. Как уже картинки
как
с Суровикиным, да, не благодари.
Кто-то там на Западе говорит, что это эффективно.
Какая-то газета написала.
Это, собственно, Economist, журнал Economist.
Журнал.
Он написал, что наши удары по энергетической инфраструктуре Украины, это эффективно и это работает. Но работает это с точки зрения отсутствия где-то электричества, но пока не работает с точки зрения изменения сознания
Принуждения к переговорам, да,
людей, принимающих какие-то решения в Киеве.
That, my friend, is terrorism. And they're open about it. We're going to destroy the infrastructure. Well, we haven't hit the most important ones yet. And then, of course, the word in Russian there, paka, yet. But we're going to do it to force them to negotiate.
Okay, I would say I cannot comment that. Probably one thing I would say like this. Russia is trying to, yes, it's destroying infrastructure of Ukraine, everything they can. In reality, we don't feel it like that. But they are careless about hospitals, people, old people who needs the oxygen non-stop, and which the technique works on electricity, and they stay in homes, and the kids, the newborn babies, nothing. I will not continue to the people in the special.
Well, my friends, you just saw the terrorism. This is not planned. Absolutely not planned. He just lost power. This is what we're talking about, and this is what he was talking about. In fact, instead of going back to the main camera, I'm going to leave that image on there for you. He's talking about the irresponsible. We're going to destroy the infrastructure, destroy the grid, force them to negotiate. And Jenya's saying, what about hospitals? What about older people? What about medical equipment? What about children? What about schools? What about pets? What about normal things? And you're doing this to do what? To force us to negotiate. And here we are streaming on this Friday night, his Saturday morning, and you just watched his power go out. That is exactly what that was. We've had it many times here over the last few days. That's where we're at. Let me show you this. We had prepared this. I want to show it to you as we close out. Nothing better than I can show you right now than that. Zhenya recorded this today in Dark Khmelnytsky. I'm going to play it for you one more time. And now I'm going to explain it to you. Let me explain it first. It's a video that's running in cities, and you see at first all the cards being thrown on the map. That is a representation of Russia throwing all their cards on the table. We understand that slang. We're going to do this, 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 this. Ukraine puts down one card, and it is a card representing their special forces. And the message says, do whatever you want. We will not negotiate, and we will defend our land. Now, I'll show it to you again, and you know what it means.
Hello.
Hold on. So there you have that. You did hear in the background. That'll make a lot of us feel better tonight. A hello here. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, the light is off, and I did prepare the backup internet.
Did we lose power?
Yeah, completely, and internet, everything. So I prepared the other Wi-Fi router.
Well, let me tell you something right now. You're making a lot of people feel better. For me, like I knew you were not hit by a shell or a missile. We
Yeah.
would have heard that coming, and I know it. But there we go. So
Okay.
we're back now.
Yeah.
I showed the last video with the video graphic there. But you know what, Jacob? There's no better example of what you were talking about than what just happened on this stream.
Yes, this is reality we live in. So at this moment, my internet probably reloading. We'll see. But so the Russia does it all, and I want to finish on the Russian passport. The world has to stand it's a price. Ukraine paying this price, and I believe. Let me finish. Russia is interested to increase the crisis situation make it worse in Ukraine. For the world would be helping more and more and more with different ways, and they're not about this to stop. You understand? This is not the stopping the war. So I mean, okay, we will buy the generators. Our prices for the gas will be rising up and up. Then the Europe and the world will be spending a lot of money for that, helping Ukraine, helping Ukraine, helping Ukraine, helping Ukraine. Will it stop the war? It will help Ukrainians to survive, but will it stop the war? I mean, how much the worst economic situation we need to get to for the world will understand that the best decision and make it short way is to stop the war, not by giving out the Ukraine, leaving the Ukraine, but to get a strong enough position for Russia would leave our country, and it will help the world economic. Because at this moment, yes, we thankful, we like an open wound everywhere, with the food, with the medicine, with the army, with the energy, because we are people living in 21st century, millions and millions of people, and it's not just wrong, it's a crime, and we need to stop. I mean, we need to stop, not to make it long.
Mm-hmm.
How much more billions needs to be spent for the things which can be stopped in a week in reality. The
it
strong
would be
decision,
said like this with the open wound. Thankful for the money, thankful for the support, thankful for the supplies. Without it, Ukraine would already be destroyed. But
take the knife out.
Exactly. Stop just putting a Band-Aid on the problem. 2 weeks. Here's another 100 billion, another Band-Aid, another Band-Aid. We have to solve the problem and the source, which is the terrorists in the Kremlin and the Russian invaders. That's it. Great analysis there, bud. Well, I wish you well tonight.
Thank you.
You better. What a great example. We didn't plan that.
No, we have no guarantee. And the same is going on. Just think that your mother or father having the oxygen equipment which works from the electricity, and immediately it just went off, and you are not near,
Exactly.
And the nurse is calling, the sitter is calling, hey, I can do nothing. There is no lights.
And they're on the 9th floor. They can't get down. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So that's why we're here, bud. Doing what we can.
Thank
All right.
you. But thank you.
You're welcome.
The sharing of truth is important. The sharing of truth. Making people think about that.
Well, hopefully this one will get shared a lot, especially the part where we're talking about the energy terrorism and your lights go off.
Yeah, I have, like...
You were ready.
I'm
All right, buddy.
I mean,
rest,
if it will continue like that, I will need to make like something like backup electricity which works autonomy.
Oh, you're gonna put a generator in now so we don't lose. I like it. I won't put it past you.
Yes, something like that. I already think about that.
A backup
What
system.
To do. Yes, I have some ideas.
That's Ukrainian resourcefulness. All right, buddy. Rest well. Take care of your stuff and yourself. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
To all a good night.
Thank you. Good night to all.
Which ones? You know what? I've got to write this down. Good night to all.
To all a good night.